In this video, I will be sharing with you 5 ultimate hacks to make your experience with NotebookLM better, save time and be more productive. Hack number 1 is to use new note feature effectively. And what I mean effectively? Generally, when we go over to our NotebookLM and to some notebook, at the right side of the page we've got our option to add note, so we can do it manually. However, here there is one specific technique that will save us a lot of time and will let us to be a lot more productive. So let's say you have many documents that contain a lot of data and you would like to only retrieve the most important information, because obviously we wouldn't like to read throughout this entire document that may have, for example, 300 pages. So for this case, what we can do? Simply we can go over to our chatbot and we can type, give me the most important information from these documents. We can run it, and what I mean by effectively adding note, because obviously, we can go over when our response is ready, we can save it to note, but now let me show you more effective way. Instead of just copying this entire data that is kind of concise, we can go over, create a note, and only add the data we want. So even make it more structured, more concise and more detailed without unnecessary information. So for example, I can go over here, copy paste. I've got the introduction. Then I can go over ahead. I can, for example, provide types of productivity. I can paste it, bold it, and just provide the specific data. So I see that not many people are doing that. And kind of it's very useful because now we can specify kind of what we would like to get inside of our note. Hack number 2 that will save you a lot of time is to use interactive mode instead of listening to the entire podcast. So when you are inside of your NotebookLM and you have your podcast, instead of playing it by typical way, go over to the interactive mode. And here, meanwhile, actually the podcast will be played. You can go over, you can ask questions. So now you can click on play audio.
All right, ready to dive deep into productivity.
Let's do it.
So you're looking to get a better handle on this whole
And anytime you can go over and you can click on join. So I can play it.
productivity thing.
Yeah, it's one of those things that
Whoa, did someone just break the fourth wall? Let's hear it.
Yeah, so right off the bat, let me go over and actually give me 10 the best productivity tips.
Oh, wow. Okay, you want to cut right to the chase.
You want the top 10 productivity tips right now.
Okay, I can appreciate that.
I mean, we're all looking for those.
Before we get to that, I think we should lay the groundwork a little bit first.
Yeah, so that the tips actually make sense to you.
So by this way, you're avoiding a lot of unnecessary information. You get right into the point. You're just asking specific questions. And this is also very cool when you want to retrieve some specific data. So not only you are just saving a lot of time, but you're learning even more. Because even instead of just listening to white podcast, you can ask specific questions again, get the specific data, and again, maybe you would spend 10 minutes on listening and retrieving one information. However, you can do this in 2 minutes or even 1 by asking proper questions and using interactive mode. Tip number 3 is to summarize YouTube videos. And don't get me wrong, sometimes of course it's great to watch them. However, we've got some videos that, for example, present let's say 10 genius hacks as we have here, or 20 management tips, or some data that we can actually shorten, just comprehend faster. So in some cases, I like to go over to NotebookLM and summarize this video, create for me a podcast to better understand it, or just ask specific questions. For this case, I can go over, I can copy the link of the YouTube video. I can go over to my NotebookLM, provide YouTube video URL, insert, and right away I have all of the data from the video uploaded. I can ask questions, I can create podcasts about it. It is also very cool. When you have, for instance, long YouTube video, you can create podcast and kind of get other perspective. You can go here, use conversation starters, you can ask questions, you can create notes about the video, so if the video is very important. You can go here, create notes, save it for later, and do other useful stuff. Hack number 4 is to structure messy data. Maybe you have some document with bad structure, some mistakes. You would like to improve it, just make it more professional. You can use for it NotebookLM. So here, for example, I've got actually the data I would like to improve. It's very messy and overall it's very bad. I can go over, I can upload the file to the NotebookLM and afterwards improve it. So when I have my file, I can simply type structure for me this data from document to be correct and nice structured. Also, I can provide the following sentence, improve it to its fullest, and if some data or important information is missing, just add it. So simply I can do this. After only a few seconds, you can see we have our information really nice created with really nice form, and in general, that's very cool. So we can go over, we can save it to Note, and then what is very cool, we can convert all notes, so one note to source. So by this way, we created our source, which is nice structured. Instead of this one, we can now delete it. And even more, now we can work on this one, specific data. We can do all of the stuff, create the podcast, create briefing doc, timeline, FHQ, and so on. So by this way, in just a matter of seconds, you can turn very messy file, very bad structured, into something very, very nice. And hack number 5, which I consider very, very important for saving a tons of time. And really for me, it's very important because I'm talking about organizing our workspace. You don't even realize how much time this simple hack can save you. Because ask yourself a question, do you know what is inside of these sources? Because for me, I don't know. I've got Christian's document, test 1, hacks. How many hacks? I don't know. Here I've got actually my notes, so 3 new notes. So in long term, it may save you a lot of time if you kind of provide the proper names for the sources, for the notes, for even notebooks, because sometimes I see people has like 5 notebooks that have the name Untitled Notebook. So what are these notebooks? What is inside? I don't know. So generally go over here to the notes. You can click on that. You can change the name. So for example, I've got briefing doc for productivity. Yeah, it's much more visible. You can go over to the sources. So here you can check the number of the hacks. We've got 20 of them. You can change the name. Go over here. Rename the source. So 20 hacks for productivity. So please do this stuff. Like really, you wouldn't like to have a lot of mess inside of your notebook because otherwise it's getting really messy. You're opening the files. You don't know where specific data is. So for sure, please keep your workspace tidy, clean, and just organize your documents. So that we have it. I hope these 5 hacks were helpful for you. Let me know what you think about it in the comments, leave the like for the YouTube algorithm, click the subscribe button, and I will see you next time.